Hello, everybody. Welcome back again to the week ahead forecast for December the 21st through to when do we finish that week? And then I'll have to put my new calendar up for the next one, but through till December the 27th. And here we are at the end of a crazy year, and oh my goodness, what a time we are in. I'm so busy and it's great, but it's also kind of overwhelming. I'm putting together, you should know, a 2-day series workshop in March the 7th and 8th. Of course, all will be recorded, but and access to the recordings will be given for 60 days after the 2-day workshop. It's going to include a few other extras as well. Everybody that registers for the workshop on Zoom will receive a copy of their chart with Ceres on so that you can use it during the workshop. It's going to be interactive. It's going to be a really deep dive into Ceres. There'll also be a PDF with Ceres through the signs and houses. There'll also be time for Q&A and a community space and a meditation and all kinds of extras. So watch this space for that. I'm putting that together right now. And I'm very excited to be offering it. And I'm doing it early in March. And I'm doing it at the weekend. I never work weekends. And though each day will be from 10 till 4 my time, but there will be a break at lunchtime. So excuse my cat, she's decided to be annoying while I'm trying to do this. So this is the week ahead, and as usual I've pulled some cards and we'll come back to the full cards at the end. So rebirth, goddess of discs, which I actually pulled for the solstice too. So there we go. Or did I? No, I pulled that for somebody else. A 9 of blades. These times are not easy, but here we go. And we've had this card before. The witch herself, the woman in total control of herself. So we'll look in full detail at the cards at the end. So let me get my chart up and we'll go through the week. So how are you all anyway? How are you all coping with this? It's kind of intense, right? Well, it is for me. I think everybody I know, but maybe that's because they're coming to me, is has their charts absolutely lit up by all these aspects. And I'm recording this on the 18th, which is just before the Sagittarius new moon that is conjunct the galactic center. So for the duration of this, I've included some of these extras on that I have been talking about on the solstice video, and the galactic center I'm going to leave on because this is such a major galactic activation. On the other video I uploaded earlier, you will find details about intergalactic comet, whatever you want to call it, interstellar object, Atlas 3I, which is really active at the moment and is active right through until we kind of emerge from this portal, which I hate the word portal normally, it's very woo, but honestly, right now we are in this kind of end times before the new emerges. So let's watch this space. So here we are. We start the week right before the solstice. You can see here the sun will be at the anaretic degree at the start of the day and will in fact move into Capricorn. So Capricorn season begins on the 21st, and that's the day of the solstice. which literally means sun stands still for 3 days. So that's where we're at the start. Now, a couple of things I do want to mention before we dive in is that Jupiter is still retrograde and is square to Ceres almost exactly as we start the week. That is how we start the week. Sorry, Jupiter is square Chiron, not Ceres. Chiron in Aries is at its station direct degree. You will notice that this is 22 degrees, which is a number, a master builder number. The nodes are also at 11 degrees, another master number. This, to my feeling, is just adding to the strength of this time we're in, all of these kind of master numbers being activated. We're also starting the week with Mercury. Mercury has just squared the nodes, the last planet to square the nodes, as all of these planets pile up in the last 1, 2, 3, 4 signs of the zodiac and towards the first sign of the zodiac. When we hit Aries season, the amount of planets in Aries, the first sign, the initiator, the start of a new cycle is just astounding. But we're not going to look that far ahead. But you can see all these planets are moving this way to, apart from Jupiter's over here and Uranus is over here, but even they are moving towards this at the moment because they are retrograde. Everything is piling up on this side of the chart and all in these last signs for now initially. This is intense. Okay, so we start the week with the sun still in Sagittarius. Hecate, the crossroads goddess, the triple moon goddess, is on the degree of the December the 19th new moon. The conjunct the galactic center. Juno is about to connect with the galactic center, though in reality the galactic center is big. So these are all conjunct. Venus is conjunct the galactic center. Mercury is heading that way. Even more importantly, all of these personal planets are moving under the beams of the sun. Mars is under the beams of the sun. Juno is under the beams of the sun. Hecate is under the beams of the sun. Venus is under the beams of the sun. Mercury is moving under the beams of the sun. And we're going to have 3 big Cazimis if we count the personal planets, Mars, Mercury, and Venus. This is a big pile-up. Now, this is going to intensify in January, so we're not there yet, but I want you to just think about the trajectory where we're going. All right. Okay, so on to the 21st. Now, I did do a whole solstice video, so I'm not going to look at the solstice chart, but we do start the day really early, 12:08 a.m. in fact, just with Venus in Sagittarius under the beams of the sun, remember, square to Saturn. This can be a bit of a reality check, truth-wise. You know, this can be a bit of a kind of a wake-up call, if you like, or a bit of a slap, or a bit of a clarity moment of things that need to change, and some truth is coming to light. I don't think I need to say any more about that one. Then we have Vesta over here is in Capricorn, is moving ahead of the sun, but this is our inner flame, okay? But it's also this flame of the state or hearth is sextile to Nessus, which is the revealer of abuses of power and toxins and poisons coming through, being revealed all the time. Interestingly, you know, this is just 2 days after the Epstein files are supposed to be released. So, what's going to emerge from that? Then at 5:07 a.m., Jupiter and Chiron exactly square off. And this is an opportunity to expand your role of taking your own bull by the horns, so to speak, or ram by the horns in Aries, and saying, you know, I can be a part of the healing that is needed in this world, and I can take this action. Now, both are still retrograde, though, so this is maybe still emerging, like as our consciousness expands, the truth of what you need to know of your part within all this. Then we have the solstice, the exact moment the sun enters Capricorn at 10:03 a.m. You can see the video I did earlier for that. And then we just have some lunar aspects for most of the day. The moon in Capricorn will conjunct with Vesta, so we've mentioned that already. The moon will oppose Jupiter as well, and therefore as well square Chiron. So we actually have a cardinal T-square to those two, saying push, push, push. It's time to do things. And of course, the moon is starting to gain light after the setting intentions of this powerful new moon by then. The last aspect on the 21st is Mars. Mars exalted in Capricorn, which means it's very strong in Capricorn, can be a bit overly pushy, but it's extreme determination to get things done, is going to square off to Ceres. This is and Ceres is in Mars sign here. So again, this is another push to learn how to nurture yourself and then others, to do your self-care and then let that filter out to others in the world. Okay. December the 22nd. Oh, we have the moon over here will square off to Eris. Eris is the table shaker. So tables are being shaken, as we know, and the outsiders are starting to really kind of speak out, and just everything is kind of just like having tables turned in many ways. And then the moon will sextile Saturn. So all of these planets are activated around the same time. The Capricorn moon is in Saturn's sign. That is about letting go of more self-limiting beliefs, but also pushing harder, getting clearer. Then the sun over here is going to oppose asteroid Hygieia, which I need to put back on. Yes, I've got a lot on at the moment, but these are at the cardinal points, right? Hygieia is back at the cardinal point as well. These are the world axis turning points. Okay, this is the point of the December solstice. I'm going to call it the December one. And Hygieia, which is holistic healing, is at the point of the June solstice. Okay, and therefore square to the Aries point, the point of creation. We really are being invited to heal from the inside out in so many ways. We are changing and shifting so much. This is crazy. And then the moon over here will trine Uranus. All right. So the moon will trine Uranus, and okay, so this is you know, an earth trine. Uranus is the big change bringer as well, and so we kind of feel the shake up again in the structures of our lives of all kinds. Okay. And then the moon will sextile Neptune. Neptune is still at that last degree, will be, until it leaves the sign of Pisces for good in our lifetime. And then the moon will enter Aquarius for a couple of days, and that will be at least a little bit of air, the moon's gaining light. It will be like, oh, I can breathe suddenly. I can really start to bring the change. And the moon, of course, will then meet Pluto. But in the meantime, the Venus and Juno will meet at the degree of the galactic center. And so this is new information coming through about the rise of this yin energy, about creation, about coming together, realizing that everything is interconnected, more truth coming in, possibly about women as well, more coming to light. And then later on the 22nd as well, once the moon's in Aquarius, it will trine Sedna, of course, over here, one of the big change makers, and conjunct Pluto. I need to do a whole video about these slower moving planets and how they're all speaking to each other, because it's unprecedented, and I know we keep saying that. And right after the moon meets Pluto and fixed star Altair, it was square Haumea, planet of regeneration and rebirth. The card I pulled, you'll see it in a minute. And then the moon will sextile Ceres, just all of this just is piling up. So the moon is getting closer to Ceres. We've now got fire and air speaking to each other. It's kind of crazy. On to the 23rd. So December the 23rd, you can see we start with the moon in Aquarius, incidentally on the degree of the south node of the US chart, but we won't go into those details. And Neptune and Hecate will actually also square off. So one by one, all of these planets will square Neptune, the last aspects to Neptune in our lifetime. Neptune in Pisces, that is. As they start to close multiple cycles and all move towards Pisces and then Aries. Just this pile-up is just astounding. But this is another glimpse of shine the torch at the crossroads, Hecate's torch. All right. Then the moon will sextile Mercury, and you can see Mercury is trotting along, is soon going to be within 10 degrees of the sun and Cazimi again. Under the beams. And then the moon will meet these two, Chariclo, spinner of grace, and Pallas Athena, the strategist. And these are seeing the patterns and helping us to weave this new story. December the 24th, Christmas Eve. Why are my cats deciding to... Sorry about that. She's trying to play with my papers. And now Venus, after the square with Saturn, will square off to Neptune. And Venus and Neptune will actually be conjunct when I run the Ceres workshop in March, by the way, in Aries. But that's looking too far ahead. But you can see Venus is catching up to Hecate. Venus, in some ways, is Persephone, that whole thing in the myth. She's the maiden. She's that more younger, fresher energy of the yin, the divine feminine. I don't mean young as in naive. I don't even mean necessarily an actual maiden. But Venus is, our love nature, our relationships to all that is. She is about our earthly desires as well in all ways. And in the myth, Hecate helped Demeter, which is kind of Ceres, find Persephone in the underworld when she was in the Plutonic underworld. Okay, Hecate found that crossroads and was a symbol of reunification. She reunified Demeter with Persephone, and here they are now at this anaretic degree and both squaring Neptune. And this is new beliefs coming through, new faith, new beliefs, new truth being revealed just over and over and over again. Okay, so, and then Venus will actually conjunct Hecate before moving into Capricorn. I'm sorry. I think cats missed us when we were away, so I'm going to move us to Venus moving into Capricorn on Christmas Eve, you can see that Hecate is still at that anaretic degree, also about to move into Capricorn. The Capricorn energy is getting more and more intense. Juno has passed the galactic center and is at the degree of the December the 19th new moon now. Mercury is trotting along and heading towards it as well. And pretty soon we will have nothing left in Sagittarius, except the galactic center, of course, because it's always there. And these energies are getting tighter and tighter and tighter. So that's, please. So the moon is still in Aquarius and then will square off to Uranus on December the 24th. Bit more of an awakening. She's trying to attack me, the cat. And then the moon will enter Pisces for a couple of days. The moon will enter Pisces at 8:08 p.m. Eastern time. So we'll be in the sign of Pisces through Christmas Day. So if it's a holiday for you, which it is for much of the world, then we're in this kind of Piscean fog, but also this kind of like feeling this interconnectedness kind of energy as the moon moves through Pisces. And so I'm not going to go through all the lunar aspects. Let's move on to Christmas Day. I'm being glared at now by this cat. So, happy Christmas to everybody on December the 25th, if you celebrate. On December 25th itself, the moon, as you can see, is in Pisces now and will make a sextile to the sun. That's the first major aspect since the December the 19th new moon. And this is in Capricorn and Pisces and saying, we are seeing the truth now. It's being revealed. And here's how we can build back better or build anew in so many ways. On this day as well, on Christmas Day, Hygieia is on its way back into Gemini for a while, but will be opposed by Hecate. Okay, so Venus opposed yesterday. So we've kind of got these 0-degree cardinal point activations over and over and over again, which are new starts, new beginnings, new ways of doing things. But this is all going to start to emerge over the next few weeks as we go into this crazy time. Now, Mercury has reached 18 degrees and will square off to Nessus, revealer of abuses of power and toxins and toxicity and all of that kind of stuff. And I think we're just seeing it more and more. And Mercury in Sagittarius is real truth tellers, right? I happen to have it. And so truth is coming to light. But Mercury is also kind of like the psychopomp energy. This is like death and rebirth of beliefs again as well. Okay, due to what information we are finding out, what we are learning, and what new truths are being brought in to our psyche. Then at 5 a.m. on Christmas morning, Mars over here, with the sun starting to slowly get closer to Mars, will sextile talk to the hand asteroid Lilith. It's kind of a bit of a spicy Christmas day, to be quite honest. But the moon's in Pisces, so I think there may be a real big temptation right throughout that day to just do some escapism. And you know what? It's probably okay for Christmas Day if you're celebrating. And then the sun will aspect Hygieia, rebirth, regeneration. The moon will conjunct asteroid, talk to the hand Lilith, saying, no, we are not doing this anymore. I know we're all connected and I know we have to come together. All right. And then the moon will sextile Mars. So, you know, the moon in Pisces is making quite a lot of aspects. There could be some, shall we say, some little friction around on Christmas Day here and there if you're not like aware and if you don't kind of stay in your center. And then Mercury will start to aspect Grace Spinner and Pallas Athena, saying let's really start to create this new story from all of this craziness that's happening. Okay, on the end of Christmas Day, 5:02 p.m., the last major aspect is that the moon will be conjunct the North Node, which is where we're being pulled towards, that remembering that we are interconnected. And everything that's coming our way is telling us that and reminding us of it. On to December the 26th, Boxing Day, as it's called in many places, and Hygieia will move back into Gemini to finish their retrograde, finishing looking at our community, how we can do preventative health. A lot of preventative health as well around the airways, by the way, as well. So, and then the moon will conjunct Nessus, so more revealing of that. I'm not going to read all the lunar aspects. Then the moon will come up and make a water grand trine to Jupiter. Notice there's nothing left in Scorpio though, because everything is moving this way. So we're just having water trines. We're not having that water grand trine that was so powerful for so much time is no longer there. And now we are saying it's time to move forward and create with this unbroken flow aspect from all that's being revealed. Just, I don't know about you, but there's stuff being revealed from within me as well as out in the world. This is not just about out there, by the way. We really are being reborn from the inside out in huge ways. It's just intense. Anyway, then the moon will conjunct Neptune at 2:03 a.m. Oh no, I'm back on the I'm on the 20th. Okay, the moon will then conjunct Saturn, of course, as Saturn and Jupiter pull apart from their ongoing trine. Incidentally, they will aspect each other again later because Jupiter's faster moving, but we'll look at that later. And Mercury will sextile Pallas Athena. I think kind of after Christmas, you'll kind of feel like, okay, it's time to really work on building what I'm building now. On to Saturday, the last day of the week, December the 27th. The moon finishes up in Pisces with a conjunction with Neptune and a square to Juno at that anaretic degree still. More feeling into the fact that everything has been infecting everything else and that we are really entangled and interconnected, and we must operate from love and joy and remember that everything we do and all our life and way of being and actions is connected to everything else. But more and more people are remembering this, right? Okay, then I am actually going to shift this. The moon will move into Aries on this last day of the week, December the 27th at 3:01 a.m. So you can see the moon moves into Aries. By this point, you can see that Mercury is now at 21 degrees Sag and is now getting closer and closer to the sun because Mercury is at full speed after that recent retrograde. And the moon will come up on the 27th after moving into Aries and will start to aspect all these beings at the beginnings of signs. So the sextile to Sedna happens every month, but now the moon squares Hecate, squares Venus, and sextiles Pluto, and then will conjunct Ceres. And so this is a bunch of stuff that has just shifted signs, and it feels really differently. And it says, time to take action. But now as well, though, look at this, because we're about to have the first quarter moon. So I'm going to show you that. After that full moon. So we finished the week, after the new moon, sorry. We finished the week with the moon conjunct Ceres, squaring to the sun. This is the crisis in action phase. We're emerging from the Christmas vacation, if you take it off, if you celebrate, into this real action phase as we feel this new stuff coming in. This is in cardinal signs. This is saying align your emotions, your what feeds you, what nourishes you, what nurtures you into action and determination, right? They're all pulling together, saying we can do this. We can build something really new in our individual lives and out there in the world. All right. Now then, Jupiter over here has moved back to 21 degrees at the end of the week, but before that we'll oppose Vesta. So we're having a real good look at what's happening in our institutions and our states, and saying it's time to birth something new and change that and expand what we have to be more secure and more connected for everybody. All right. And so I think I'm about, here's 27th. So we've got the first quarter moon. Mercury. Mercury gets to 22 degrees Sagittarius on this day and then trines Chiron. So Jupiter was square to Chiron, master builder number again. The psychopomp is bringing in this new information, this new truth speaking, this new faith, this new belief in what's changing, and our perspectives are changing, and saying, okay, this is how we heal. Okay. And then the moon will square Mars. In Mars is the guide for Aries. More action. And the moon will also square Pholus. We'll have a little bit more inventory taking of our own actions, and others will have to be taking their inventory. And the last aspect of the week is Neptune. Still at that anaretic degree, is squared by Juno. And the next day, Juno's going to hop into Capricorn with everything else. So let me get that aspect. Oh, my cat. She is. Okay. So here we go. On the pretty much the close of December the 27th, close of this report, Juno has got to 29 degrees 27 of Sagittarius and square to Neptune. We've only got Mercury left to square Neptune after that, of these personal and faster moving energies as we move closer and closer into this, my goodness, kind of time. Now, I said I wasn't going to look this far ahead, but I just want to give you a glimpse. So we move to the end of January. You can see that nothing other than the galactic center is in Sagittarius. All those aspects are finished, and we've moved into massive Aquarian energy. There's a lot more I could say about that, but I just want you to see how things are compressing. Eris is still over here. She is kind of the outer edge of this huge portal of change. So by February, okay, you can see we've got huge Pisces energy. The Aquarian energy is starting to disperse. We have some of the more minor figures left in Capricorn, but even Hecate is leaving. All right. and Mars is about to go off into Pisces. Now, Ceres has caught up to Eris, so these three are lining up. I'll talk more about what all this means, of course, in a little bit as we go through this time. But March the 6th, the day before I do that immersion, you can see that Venus has now moved into Aries. Neptune is in Aries, Saturn's in Aries, Chiron is moving forward, Ceres is moving forward, the Sun and Mercury and the nodes, everything. We've still got quite a bit in Pisces, but boy, this is changing fast. March the 13th, just to kind of show you where we're at. Ceres is about to move out of Aries, but there's so much more else about to come in. By the time of the equinox, which is when the Sun enters Aries, look at this. Even if I take out, this is Okiroi, Chiron's daughter. I have left her in because she will join here. The moon will be in Aries, Venus in Aries, Saturn, Neptune, Sun, asteroid Lilith has moved into there. Look at this Aries energy, by the way. This is wild. Okay, there's loads more I could say about this. Mercury will have moved all the way through to conjunct the North Node, but this is still at the same degree that Venus will emerge from her underworld on the North Node. This is such a wild, wild time. By the equinox, when the Sun enters Aries, so the next quarter of the great cycle of seasons, we are going to be in a very different place at the end of March. And just, kind of one more week forward, you can see that Mars is on its way as well into Aries. Ceres, moves out. But this is just... But then we do start to get some stuff into Taurus as well as things shift. But this is so intense, all of this collection. Anyway, I just want to show you how it's all piling up. It's wild. Ooh. Anyway, cards. So the first card I pulled is Rebirth, which is the Judgment card in some decks. Okay. And this is I Am Awakened. I don't think I need to say any more. We are waking up hugely. And this week is another big step amongst it. Then we get the Goddess of Discs, which is an earth sign. So we are waking up to our humanness. But this has birds all over it. And this is the birds card. Can you see it? This, interestingly, does not have a page in the book because this is, there's an error in her book. But this is like messages of awakening to our humanity, that we are connected from within and without. Okay. And that this is our home. This is who we are. This is all we know. And then the last card in the tarot is I Am Darkness. I'm not going to lie that some of this is going to be quite dark. We're in the dark of the moon right now. We're in a very dark phase with planets hidden behind the beams of the sun. There's going to be blades is mind and thoughts and words. So a lot of the news and a lot of your inner thoughts are going to be amidst dark night of the soul kind of thing. So I want to read you this this quote. There can be no rebirth without a dark night of the soul, a total annihilation of all that you believed in and thought that you were. And that's by Hazrat Inayat Khan. So I don't need to kind of read the whole thing because this is a dark night of the soul collectively. Some of us are dealing with it quite well, but it's very uncomfortable. We are becoming new people. We are being reborn, and it's not easy because we have to look at our shadow. We have to let go of the shadow. We have to let go of what we believed. But here's some hope as always. The Witch. Okay. This is to me. I'm going to read you the book again. We've had this before. No woman alive today needs a dictionary to know what control means within a toxic patriarchy. She's experienced it 1,000 different ways before she hit puberty. It's alive in the curves of her psyche, in the expanse of her hips, in the marrow of her bones. It's domination and restraint, but in a balanced psyche and in a balanced culture, control means something else entirely, and this is what we are learning. A witch experiences control through cooperation rather than competition. She's engaged with all the parts of her psyche in an attempt to coordinate rather than dominate. You are being asked right now to embrace all the inhabitants of your inner realm, because each deserves respect and a place at the table, and you can apply that collectively too. Even the unruly, the inconvenient, the ugly, making a space for all under the banner of wild inclusion and giving voice to the shame, malice, and anger, as well as every other outlawed part of the psyche. That's the way we create integrity, ensuring that no part of our inner realm is involved with factions, divisions, or rebellions. And this is true, like healing from the inside out, right? Okay. When your intent is to create rather than compete, you don't have to dominate. Your influence is enough. This is power with rather than power over. How many times do we say this? How many times I'm not the only one saying this, right? Invite whatever is bothering you today into the realm of inclusion and assert your authority. Much love. What a flipping time we live in. I better let that cat out. Bye.